Another observation of a toxic dating pool based on my own personal experience. So this one comes from the archives, a date I had some time ago. And this one's a doozy, so buckle up. It makes absolutely no sense, as these stories typically make no sense. And even your own experiences, I'm sure you could tell stories about stuff, dating experiences that makes no sense whatsoever. So let's get started with this one. Now, I'm going to read to you some text messages that were sent back and forth so you get full context, and I would love your feedback. Comment, let me know what you're thinking. Maybe I'm missing something. I have no idea. This is just incredibly fascinating to me because it's just so bizarre, and all of us want to make sense of it somehow. So going forward, we can just have better experiences. And maybe reading through the comments area and participating in the comments, we can help each other come to a greater understanding of all of this. Who knows? But before I start reading, we had a date. I remember it was a lovely date. On this particular date, the conversation flowed. There was no pushing on either side. The energy seemed to be equal. There wasn't this happening or that happening with energy. It was a meeting of the minds. It was really cool. There was healthy flirting going on, some really cool bantering back and forth, and that kind of stuff is typical for a date that I'm on. And I've honestly never been on a date that wasn't fun for both myself as well as my date. So that's never been an issue. It's sometimes the stuff that happens after the date, and it's also stuff that happens before the date, in which case the date just never happens because I'm really good at weeding and filtering out bad dates so that the bad dates just never ultimately happen. So all of my dates end up being really great. And then after the date, it's either some weird stuff happens, like with this particular story I'm going to share with you, or we go on to be friends and everything is great. And I've certainly got a lot of female friends in my life because of dating them in the beginning, and we just decided it's not a romantic connection, so here's a great new connection as a friendship. So with this one, we go out on a date. These things, flirtations, conversation flows, bantering back and forth. It's like, yeah, this is really cool. And then at the end of the date, my date set, we'll call her Jane, protecting identity. At the end of the day, she says, this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to have a lot of free time. We should go on our second date. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'm on board. I've enjoyed myself. Let's have our second date this weekend. And we can touch base later today, figure out what time works best for both of us. She's like, okay, cool. So, yeah, it's a pretty good feeling, right? So the next day comes, or a couple days later, or something like that, and we're texting a little bit back and forth, and here's where I will start reading. So she says, I am interested in you, but I'm kind of effed up from a lot of things. So many men have tried to manipulate me and not listen or care what I want. They just mostly want to get laid, and I've learned if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Then there's confrontation and anger, loss of friendships, etc., and I just cannot do that. So I need a year. Usually men don't listen, they don't care, they just get offended. I'm used to it. Whew, so I hear all of that, I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible. But it's also, unfortunately, extremely common. A lot of you ladies out there listening right now to this video, you're probably like, yep, been there, done that a million times. It sucks. It's so common, unfortunately. The dating pool is so sick. So she shared all of that with me, and I'm like, yeah, this is very valuable information for me. So I respond back, and I say, I'm not offended, I listen, I care. Granted, I'm a little confused as to why you would want to go out on a date if you don't feel you're ready for it, but you did, and it was a good date. You are allowed to change your mind without being made to feel bad for it. A real man is always going to support you doing what you feel is right for yourself. I think it's pretty cool we had one good date. So that was my response back to that message. And so I'm thinking, yeah, that's a pretty awesome response. You're probably thinking, yeah, that's about the end of it. Okay, cool. That's actually really nice. But you would be wrong. So here's where it gets really effed up, and effed up enough to actually make it onto a video. Oh my God. So here it goes. And comment if you're like, yeah, that sounds really good, Tom. That's amazing. Or comment if you think that was messed up of me to send a message like that. Can't imagine what the argument would be for that, but feel free. But here's where it goes awry in a very nonsensical way. So her response to that message that I proudly own is this: "You're right. I shouldn't accept dates when I know I'm not ready. I thought I was clear, so I didn't change my mind. I was upfront. I think you're amazing, but I was very upfront about this. Kind of unfair and manipulative to now say you are confused by my choice to go out on a date with you. Dude, this is why I don't date. You're great, but I'm not ready. I am sorry. Thought being friends first was a thing. Again, I wish you the best, but you don't listen." I get that text message. I'm like, okay. It's stunning, and it's shocking, I guess, but it's not surprising because there's so many instances like this that make absolutely no sense in the dating world because we are so sick as a society. But anyway, I respond to that with, huh? Scroll up. I just told you it's good. I support you doing what's right for you. Were you hoping I wouldn't accept your decision? I'm thoroughly confused. So the reason I put in there, were you hoping I wouldn't accept your decision? Some girls they want to play hard to get. They'll do this stuff where they just want to test you to see how you respond, in which case that's a red flag for me. I don't want to be manipulated or play games like that. Or maybe she is so thoroughly traumatized, which I think is probably what's going on. I'm speculating. I don't think she's playing hard to get, but it's a possibility. I think more likely she is so badly traumatized when you consider all of the context from what she shared with me earlier about what men have done to her. It sounds like it's a long-running pattern of being treated terribly by men who just wanted to get laid, and they argue with her and the confrontation, all that stuff that she said. I think she is so thoroughly traumatized by it all that it's really messed her up. And I don't attach any negative stigma to trauma that women and men need to heal from. It's just an observation you got to make because it's out there and it's just so blatant and so brazen. I mean, for her to respond the way that she did, I suppose there's a possibility she could be trolling me and it's nefarious and all those things, and maybe I'm being naive. You can tell me what you think, but I honestly believe it's more likely that she is somehow being honest, and the only pathway to that kind of honesty in this scenario is that she is so badly traumatized. You might as well just give it a diagnosis of PTSD. I'm not a doctor, so I cannot diagnose. So that was a poor choice of words on my behalf, but you know what I mean, just a layperson's observation. That's it's so brazenly illogical and makes absolutely no sense that she's either being nefarious or she is so mentally messed up from past experiences that she can't help it, and it's all consuming, and this is how she's going to respond. Now, what I believe happened, she went from, on the date, Tom, we got to go out again, second date this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, when we have time, we'll figure it out. She went from that to, I can't date you, in the course of about a day and a half. So she changed her mind in there somewhere, and that's why I said it's okay to change your mind. You shouldn't be made to feel bad for that. To which she responded, I'm being manipulative, which makes no sense. But anyway, she clearly changed her mind. So what I think happened is that she processed, perhaps in a very unhealthy way, of being treated so well, so opposite of what she was used to, that she kind of freaked out about it and lost interest in the date. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Now, a lot of instances in my past where I've dated women where that was the case, it was pretty much communicated that way. Because I would see them go back to what they were familiar with, and these girls, they would go back to the familiarity of feeling like crap, having their energy drained from them, and becoming physically ill from it, and sometimes physically being beaten, slapped around, and that's what they go back to, even when it involves physical abuse as well as mental and psychological abuse. I've seen it so many times, and that doesn't actually make me incredibly sad. It's like, wow, how can these girls just be so sad? So emotionally traumatized and messed up that this is what they're willfully going to go for. So this one hasn't demonstrated that. Well, not yet, I should say, but maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe in the future I'll see her and she will be back in an old familiar setting where she is being slapped around and being treated like crap and yelled at constantly and belittled. I don't know. I'm just saying so far I have not seen that like I've seen it so many times in the past before. But I'm just speculating based on all the context and everything that happened with, that day and a half to change her mind about wanting to go on that second date. She could not process being treated as well as she was treated by someone like me. So she kind of freaked out in her brain and decided against the second date. And then responded to being treated like a free-thinking person without being made to feel bad for it. Completely, unequivocally, I was supporting her. I read you the message. And she responded to that with saying I was manipulating her and I don't listen and all that other stuff. That makes no sense whatsoever. So I'm speculating, but I'm taking a pretty good educated guess that when she processed our date and being treated in a way that was good, that she was completely unfamiliar with, she just flipped out and freaked out over it. So I got nothing else. I don't know. However, I will say this. I have such a long history of dating women where the dates are really well, and then afterwards, this kind of thing happens. It makes no sense. Girls freak out. They go back to what's familiar, which is not healthy. So it causes me to do a lot of self-reflection. Like, I don't think I'm culpable. I mean, I read to you what happened. Is there any culpability? I don't even think I'm 1% culpable here. But there's got to be something else to myself that I'm not aware of that's attracting all of these women that are so emotionally traumatized from bad experiences in their past that I keep going out with these women, And I don't know what it is about me that's putting out that energy that attracts them like a magnet, apparently, because it's one after another with this past emotional trauma that post-date, this kind of really messed up stuff happens that makes absolutely no sense. So I have to self-reflect and have some humility. It's not about finding culpability, because there is no culpability here, at least in this instance. In a lot of these instances, there is no culpability on my part, but there's still something that has nothing to do with being culpable or not that could perhaps use some tweaking or adjusting. Something about the energy I'm putting out there, I don't know. So I haven't come up with any answers yet, but I'm still going to continue to self-reflect because I don't want to always be attracting these particular type of women that think I'm so great. And they always tell me verbally, like, I'm not fishing for compliments. I'm really not. On their own volition, they tell me how wonderful I am and how great I am. And sometimes they'll tell me that I deserve someone better than them, which is really sad to hear that. But then they'll go on to treat me like this. So really unfairly, projecting past experiences from bad behaviors of other bad men onto me that I have nothing to do with. It makes no sense whatsoever. But what is it about me that I seem to keep going on dates with women who behave this way as a result of being consumed by emotional trauma brought on by past experiences with other bad men? I really don't have the answer. So, hey, perhaps that's something somebody else can comment about that you might have an idea of, something I could look into. Who knows? I really don't know what it is. But that's my story on this one. Pretty interesting, hey? It's out there in left field, like a lot of these stories are. But good luck to us all. There is a lot of bad behavior out there, a lot of emotional trauma, and I would like for us all to listen to each other more actively and be more understanding. But when something like this happens, where it's like, yeah, I accept you, I support you, and I'm not going to make you feel bad for your decisions or even changing your mind. I just want you to do what's right for you. When even that is met with, oh, you're just manipulating, you don't care, you don't listen, What are you supposed to do with that? What do you do with that? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. How do you increase understanding with somebody like that who behaves that way? I don't know. So I'll close on this note. In the dating pool, you cannot go into it with the expectation or an emotional need. You cannot go into the dating pool with some kind of emotional need to have closure or to have understanding, because there's so many instances where you are going to get the opposite of that, and you have to emotionally accept that and be okay with that so that you can move on and redirect your energy. That's the moral of this story here, as well as a lot of other stories. It's among the highest morals to gain from these kinds of stories. You cannot have any emotional attachment to having closure or making sense or any kind of rationality out of situations like this. It's just a matter of, okay, this did not work out, redirect, and be fluid and fluent with your redirection of energy until you find the one. That's the best I've got. So I look forward to reading your comments. And again, with these longer videos, if you make it to the end, let me know. I will be tickled to know. And let me know if you've enjoyed this suit. I just got back from a dance social recently, a Latin dance social, cumbia, mostly bachata and salsa. So those are fun. Pretty cool outfit, hey? I love this little gauntlet here. Oh, it's turning into a fashion video. Who knew? And this little tie, that is like the cutest, adorable, hilarious tie I've ever seen. So I bought a couple of them, different colors, but this is one. And this is a velvet, burgundy velvet. It's a full suit. The pants too. Velvet. You should feel it. Feels amazing. But it's uncomfortable to dance in, unfortunately. I didn't figure that out until tonight, but it was fun anyway. Bye for now. Mwah. Thank you for listening and also adding your comments for me and others to read. And who knows, between all of us good faith commenters, good faith arguers, whether we disagree or disagree, just good faith, if that's included in our commentary, I think we can really go a long way to help each other expand our understanding of other people as well as the universe at large. And feel free to share this. Bye for now.